Hello, everyone, and welcome back to My Best Life, the podcast where we explore the ideas, experiences, and insights that help us live with greater purpose, resilience, and fulfillment. One of the great paradoxes of being human is that we all want happiness, peace, and security, yet we live in a world that is constantly changing. Relationships evolve, circumstances shift, plans unravel. Even our own thoughts, emotions, and identities are in a continual state of transformation. And yet, despite knowing this intellectually, many of us spend our lives resisting change, holding tightly to what was, fearing what might come next, and wondering why we feel anxious, overwhelmed, or disconnected. My guest today, Saw K. Myint, has spent years exploring a different way of understanding the human experience, one rooted in both ancient Buddhist wisdom and modern scientific understanding of the mind. Her work focuses on helping people improve their mental well-being through practical, self-healing approaches that draw upon mindfulness, compassion, self-awareness, and a deeper understanding of how our thoughts and emotions shape our lives. What makes this conversation particularly interesting is that it bridges two worlds that are often seen as separate. On one hand, there is the rich tradition of Buddhist thought, with its timeless teachings on suffering, impermanence, attachment, and inner peace. On the other hand, there is the growing body of scientific research that confirms many of the benefits of mindfulness, meditation, emotional regulation, and self-reflection. Rather than treating these perspectives as competing viewpoints, Saw brings them together in a way that is practical, accessible, and deeply relevant to the challenges people face today. In a culture that often encourages us to look outward for solutions, this conversation invites us to look inward. It asks us to consider how we relate to our own minds, how we respond to adversity, and whether true well-being might come not from controlling life's circumstances, but from changing our relationship with them. We'll explore how Buddhist principles can support mental health, what science can teach us about the nature of suffering and resilience, and how ordinary people can develop habits and perspectives that lead to greater peace, clarity, and emotional freedom. We'll also discuss the role of impermanence, why letting go can be so difficult, and how embracing change might actually be one of the most powerful pathways to living a meaningful life. Whether you're familiar with Buddhist teachings or encountering these ideas for the first time, I think you'll find something valuable in this conversation. At its heart, this episode is about the possibility of transformation, not through becoming someone else, but through seeing ourselves and our lives more clearly. So, Saw, I'd like to begin with a simple but profound idea that sits at the heart of Buddhist thought. Nothing is permanent except change. What does that statement mean to you, and how has understanding impermanence shaped the way you approach life, healing, and mental well-being?
Yes. I think for us human beings, simplest things are hardest to learn, okay? So, after we go through the whole episode, if you are listening, you will learn that, everything we talked about, they're very simple, right? But as a human, because life is complicated, life throws us things, we become a little bit crazy, right? All of us are a little bit crazy. That's why we need something like this. And this is just one of the solutions. This doesn't suit everyone. But if you open-minded, realistic, you will find this very fascinating, yeah? So you were asking impermanence how I see it. That is the Buddha teaching, yeah? I love science, and I'm also like realistic, practical lady that I don't take any policy or principle because someone tell me, even if it's a God, it got to make sense to me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking it and I'm promoting it because it makes sense to me, okay? I can see it. Can I tell you, it might take 2 minutes, but I can tell you with the practical example, how
Please,
you
yes.
able to see it in
Yeah.
impermanence. Otherwise, we'll never get it, right? So, so most of us, we focus on surrounding environment rather than ourselves, right? If you spend a few minutes a day just focusing on yourself, it could be meditation, whatever you want to do. Meditation is just one of the process. Okay. So if you focus on yourself, you see that everything passing by, you know, there's a there's a statement saying, this too shall pass. But when you focus, you actually see that they pass, okay, nothing lasts. Example, okay, we all, okay, let me start with, there's only good and bad feeling, okay? Okay, good feeling, example, okay, good food, good sex, good drink, good drug, do they ever last? You can feel it, see it with your own eyes, with your mind and body, that when you have the feeling, it's already gone. Okay. We have an example of impermanence every day. Okay. That's the good stuff. Bad stuff. Okay. Someone leave you, someone die, Iranian war, flood, earthquake, whatever. They also pass. And nothing you can do to change it. It already happened. You can learn from it, but nothing you could change it. Okay, so when you pass your day every day, you know, you have good event, bad event happen to you. Maybe just for a few minutes of the day, you see that if you focus on yourself, you see that good and bad don't last. Okay, yeah, try to see it for yourself. Don't take it because we say it. I never take it. I got to see the evidence. Even to see the evidence, it took me ages. Okay. So that's how I became who I am, because I see impermanence in everyday life. You know, if I focus on myself, I'm also human. I don't focus every moment of the day, but if I focus a few minutes of the day to on myself, I see that things pass and nothing lasts. So what we have to do is, whatever happened to us, don't get too excited, because it's just here for a while. Okay, you pass exam or you made 1 million today, but you have to make more million tomorrow. Okay, you just can't start here and spend all your money. Okay, like someone leave you, you find another one. Of course you need to process it, but what I'm saying is, so if we realize that we can let it go and we can go on with our life. I said too long, but I just want you to really understand it, because it seems simple, but some of us take our whole life try to make sense.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
we're human and life is complicated.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's a very helpful introduction. And we're going to dig deeper into Buddhism and Buddhist thought and how to use Buddhism in a very practical way to help ourselves on our journey. But before we get there, I want to understand your personal journey a little bit better. So, when you look back on your life, what experiences in your life first led you to become interested in understanding suffering and mental well-being from a Buddhist perspective?
Yes. Psychiatrists say, moms say that if your life is too comfortable, you're not going to be able to understand. You're not going to learn. Okay. Like, migrant tribe, black people tribe, because they have suffered, they had a hard life, they try, right? If you're native, you life too comfortable, you have everything, you take it for granted, you don't. That's just an example, okay? So I I've been able to learn. Now I'm promoting this because I have suffered, okay? And my life hasn't been comfortable. I don't know, I'm naive or not. I haven't been lucky when it comes to relationship people, okay? So it all started when I was under 10. And over there, everybody worked for government, most people. My late dad worked for government and head of some department, and government give him huge colonial home, nice seven quarter. So there's a lot of people, okay? So like a lot of my late mom relative come and live with us, okay? And there was one single lady, my mom's sister, younger sister, single lady. She treated me like a little helper, little servant, okay? I was under 10. She let me stay with her. I don't know how I got into that situation. That's why people say, be careful how you treat children. They will put into a situation that they don't know how to get out of. You know, a lot of the time in my mind, I want to get out of the situation I don't know how to get out of. People see me as following her everywhere. But, my parents are fighting, so, so I don't know. I don't want to say my parents are good parents, but for me, nobody there to get me, okay? So for a few years, I have suffered mentally. She lived at my parents' place. She has no right to treat me like that, okay? So she probably also do good thing for me. But what I remember until now is the way she treat me like a servant. Then it must have been that part more, okay? I'm not saying that's all she treat me. She probably also treat me good. But whatever stick to you is whatever you had more experience, right? So when I was, after a few years, my late dad come here, so we have to return the home, right? So we live apart, so it's okay. So when I was around 17, I started helping other. I got here to Australia.
So you grew up in Myanmar, just for the sake of listeners. Myanmar, which used to be known as Burma, but today is known as Myanmar.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a few years when I was under 10, but then we live apart, so it's okay. Then around 70, I came here. So I started helping other, So I was there for other people, especially my background people, because they're the people who come to me. So casually, okay, not but part-time, I was studying, working, but when they come to me, even if I don't know them, I'm there for them, with my time, money, energy, my connection, skill, because I can feel what they need. Because I was there, needed something. I don't know how to get help, right? I started like that. And I feel better because you like from victim to helper, right?
Right.
So I do that for many years. I do that until now. But when I was around 30, I become religious, okay? Religion helped me recover more. But I'm still suffering. I'm not the same, right? So, but so I now forget more, huh? But so what I'm trying to say, so around 30, I become religious. But past few years, monk taught me this two strategy, and I come to realize that even though I'm there for other people, they and me never had enough. So I want to be there for them, help their mind, help with their mental health care. So they help themselves become enough, whatever happened to you. Okay. So if you never enough, even if you become billionaire, you're still not happy. You're still not content. It's all about, stay in balance, having enough. We're not a monk, but but you know what I mean? So to a degree that we okay, whatever happened to us, because nothing lasts, right? Even if you're billionaire, tomorrow stock market crash, right? even if you're on the street, you still got your six senses. You still have the most precious asset, which is your life. So if you are at the bottom or on the top, things shall pass. Us being able to let go, staying in balance, and treating everybody fair is, I think, that's the most precious gift that life gives us, right?
So you had this, challenging childhood, challenging experience growing up in Myanmar. And then, as you said, when you were 17, you went to Australia, and some years later, you discovered this Buddhist healing path. And I'm just wondering, what was the turning point for you? Was there a specific moment when you realized that you needed to approach your suffering in a different way and relate to your thoughts and emotions differently?
I am now 53. When I was around 30, I met this monk. I treat him like my godfather. Since then, I become religious, and like I said, I'm very practical lady. I don't believe in any god, any policy. They have to make sense to me, okay? I was born into Buddhism, but I don't take Buddhism as a Buddhist, like a god, Buddha as a god, because it's a god, right? I take it because it makes sense to me, right? So when I was around 30, I met this monk, and what he did makes sense to me. Since then, I've been learning through him and other monks. The monk taught like a lecture about Buddha teaching. So meditation is one of the process. I learned more from the lecture, the strategy. And what I'm here is trying to promote strategy. I also let you know the process, but strategy make you understand the reasoning behind it. I don't want you to just do it. I want you to know why you do what you do. So it stay with you. And that's how my journey's like. I stay with it because it makes sense to me. It took a few years. It's not gonna happen tomorrow because life is complicated, and we human, and we we're not safe, right?
Sure. So, as I understand it, many people in Myanmar are Buddhist. But if I understood you correctly, it sounds like in the early part of your life, Buddhism was not a big part of your life. It only kind of entered sometime later when you met this monk. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm telling you, like I'm like a honest person. That's why I'm telling you this, okay?
Okay.
Because okay, if you are Buddhist, doesn't mean you are strong Buddhist, okay?
Right, sure.
A lot of us just born into that religion.
Yeah,
okay?
understood.
I was born into the religion, and a lot of people just stay there, take it easy, right?
Yes.
They probably pray, meditate, but they don't know what they're doing, okay? But the kind of person I am, whatever I do has to make sense to me, okay?
Sure.
So until when I was around 30, I do it because my parents' religion, right?
Okay.
But since 30, it making sense to me. I stick with it because it makes sense to me. I learn the strategy and I practice. And it makes sense to me. That's why I stay with it. That's why I'm promoting it. But I want to make it universal. So I'm promoting in a way to help you to solve your mental care.
Sure.
Because we all have a little bit issue. We are human, If you see that you don't have any mental issue, you admitting that you are a saint, okay? So I'm trying to make it universal so
Sure.
it stick with us, Yeah.
So, how do you explain Buddhism to someone who's interested in improving their well-being, but not necessarily interested in religion or spirituality?
Yes. I never interested it as a spiritual. I'm a little bit stubborn. So it has to make sense to me. It has to be usable in everyday life. That's why I'm trying to say it since the beginning. So Yeah, so you don't have to be Buddhism. Don't have to practice this religion. Use it in a way that it help you. Okay. So, like I said before, every day when you pass your life, even if you can for a few minutes a day, stop focusing on environment. Okay. Don't worry about other. Do the right thing, but don't worry about other. Don't worry about public. They don't care about you unless they're your parents, right? Focus on yourself at least a few minutes of the day. That will help you. Even if I teach you strategy, if you don't focus on yourself, you don't feel it, you don't see it. Okay. So when you focus on yourself, you see that you only have good and bad feeling. The things that you do, it only result in good and bad feeling. And you see that they don't last. Okay. So take it easy and go on with your life, basically. But you have to practice at least a few minutes of the day. We human, we're a little bit crazy. It doesn't come easy to us.
Okay, well let's talk about some of those practices then. You mentioned meditation as a practice. Can you describe in more detail what those practices look like?
Okay. I tried meditation before. I know a lot of successful people meditate to focus. To me, I think it helps you focus. It helps you see yourself. It helps you breathe better. But that's not a strategy. That is one of the process. Okay. So what I'm saying today, you might think it's a little bit out of the box from normal Buddhism, right? Because I've been learning since 20 years ago, right? I started learning traditional Buddhism, but past few years, what I found is strategies that lost in translation. That's what I'm trying to teach. So meditation is just one of the process, help you focus. But there's other process. My process is, every day you pass your life just for a few minutes, focus on yourself, then see that you only have good and bad feeling and they don't last. So take it easy. You can see with your eyes, with your body that they don't last, good food, good sex, good drink, they don't last, right? People leave you, people die, anything that happened to you, already gone. Nothing you can do to change it. So I want you to see it practically. That's my process.
Okay. So we've already talked about the principle of impermanence. And are there other Buddhist principles that have had an impact on your own mental health besides impermanence?
Also, I set up charity last year, like registered charity last year. I'm doing this as part of the charity because I'm getting old, right? I'm now over 50, right? Since then, I see my gray hair. I don't, you know, color much. One of the reasons I'm lazy. The other one is remind me that I won't last forever. That's another thing. That's why my charity is called Wake Up. I'm trying myself and other people to wake up to the fact that, we could die any moment. And while we're here, whatever happening to us, take it easy, let it go, appreciate your life. We still got your six senses while we're here. We still got the most precious asset, which is our life, because it could go any moment, But in reality, even if you are 5-year-old, you could go any moment. Even if you're 80-year-old, you could go any moment. But when I'm 50, anyone over 50, you come to realize that you don't have too long to live, right? Like too long to be still active. Because when we around 70, we can't go travel anymore. So appreciate what you have, like more like gratitude,
Gratitude, yes, yeah.
Yeah. So because Buddha teaches us, it's one of the impermanent, that which is our life, that, realizing that it could go any moment. You enjoy while it's still there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about, so just for context, I grew up in a Christian family.
Yeah.
And so, amongst the teachings that I learned from a very young age, Christ taught this principle of forgiveness was very, very important in the Christian faith, in the Gospels. What role, if any, does that play in your own journey, in your own healing journey?
Okay. So we only be able to fully heal if we can forgive and forget, right? I still remember sometime how my auntie treated me, but I now come to slowly forgive and forget, right? So Buddha teaches us, try to, let go, etc. You can only let go when you forgive, right? But I believe every religion, the basic is similar. They all try to make you a good person. We just complicate it, right?
Right.
So I believe in all the religion, the essence, all the good part, okay? So I also have Christian friend. You guys are very good at like helping each other as a human, be there for each other, charity and stuff. And I also do that since I was young. But I find now that even if you help other be there for them, they and me never had enough. We still want more,
Right.
And Buddha teaches us to be enough.
Okay.
Stop looking, they don't last.
What about this idea of detachment? This is something that I hear about often. I do a lot of reading about Buddhism, and as I mentioned before we started recording, I also practice Buddhist vipassana meditation. And, this theme of detachment comes up often. So I'm wondering, what does that mean to you, and what does it look like in everyday life?
Okay. If you become detached from everything, you could confess yourself that you are a saint, okay? So as a human, we still attach to things to some degree, okay? But attachment has different levels. So I'm not up there yet, but also I'm not down here, okay? So attachment is like, all it comes down to impermanent again. We know that thing past, we can see, we can feel, but we still there. Like, someone died, we still feeling it. Like my neighbor, she still got her husband ashes for 7 years, I'm still feeling how my auntie treated me. It's just part of, human nature, So we couldn't deny it as long as we're human. But knowing the principle, believing in it, like I said, practice, focus on yourself a few minutes a day, practice it, and everything add up, and after a while you come to realize that it doesn't make sense to attach to things because they pass. Even we see ourselves, we are aging every second, and we only realize it every 10 years, right? This is part of the impermanence that we attach, So if you focus on yourself, you can see, I mean, we just have to be realistic and believe in it, practice it. That's what I mean. You can, I only I only believe in things when I see it, when I feel it. That's why I'm teaching you in a way that it's not proof. Like, you don't have to be a monk or a saint to understand it. Like every, normal human being, you could come from any background, any religion. You understand what I'm talking about, right? Yeah.
Sure. So, you were just mentioning this neighbor of yours who has held on to her deceased husband's ashes for so many years. And, I've certainly observed people holding on to trauma for many, many years. I certainly held on to some childhood trauma for a long time myself. Why do you think people find it so difficult to let go of painful experiences?
They stay with you because we are human. If you think you let go 100%, you're lying because you're not a saint yet. You have to become a saint to let go of 100%. You have to detach from everything when you become 100%. So, when you become a saint. So, I'm just showing you the way not to become a saint. It's too hard, but, at least to take care of yourself, let it go slowly because when you look at it, you can see that it's not there anymore. Her husband not around anymore. My auntie, how she treat me, she's now 80. I have to let go. I'm still holding on sometimes. I'm not a saint, but it doesn't affect me every day.
Okay. So I know that in my own Vipassana meditation training, one of the principles that is emphasized is this idea of compassion or loving kindness or metta, as it's called. And that's an actual part of each meditation that we undertake. Towards the end of the meditation, we are encouraged to send out loving kindness, metta, to the entire world. So I'm just wondering, what does that mean to you in your practice, and what has it meant to you through your own healing journey?
Yes, I've been taught that, but I like one of the monk teaching in that you just don't say it, mean it, do it. So that's what I'm trying to do. Not 100% because I'm not a saint again. Okay. And there's one thing my mother taught me. It really makes sense to me. The only way you can have metta to anyone, okay? So while you try to practice, not just saying it, that when you can see them, treat them like your children. I'm a mother. If you are a father, you say mother and my father same. Whatever our children do to us, we put up with it happily because they are our children. Okay? It's not even brother and sister different when it comes to your children. Okay? So as much as you can, when you can see other people or other living thing like animal as your children, you have to try first, right? Try, then when you can treat them, see them as they're your children, you can place metta to them any any time of the day when you try it, when you focus on it, you know.
So, we live in a very fast-paced world, and it seems like it's getting like the pace is increasing every day.
Yeah, AI and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, AI, social media, all of it.
Yeah.
People's attention spans seem to be getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
So, what aspects of Buddhist teaching do you think are most relevant to people living in today's world?
Okay. Focus on yourself. So you see that if you focus on the environment outside of yourself, because things will keep on changing, They can't, no internet. I wasn't there, so I don't, but I know, right? Nature, and then internet, now AI. When is it gonna end, You know, you have your clothes, like, so that outside of you, but inside of you, still mind and body. Buddha said there's only mind and body, and science said if you Google or check GPT, mind and body are moving millions of times per second. We're just not able to see and feel with our human eyes and body. Okay, so that's how science and Buddhism relate. When you ask me, I tell you more. So
Okay.
when you focus on yourself, don't worry. That too shall pass. Okay.
Right. Okay. Do you think there are misconceptions that people have about Buddhism and emotional well-being? One of the things that I see, kind of everywhere is Buddhism almost being sold as a commodity. You'll see, Buddhist statues being sold as decor in people's homes, and many people, use them as decoration without necessarily fully understanding what these symbols represent. So I'm just wondering how you feel about that.
Yeah. I don't want to judge anyone. So I think I'm not a saint, okay? But when you come to contact with yourself, you don't judge other people anymore. So they're just human. Like, most of us are born into the religion. We don't really understand what we're doing. Even if we're meditating, we don't know why we're meditating. We're just doing it because someone teach you, right? Those people, they do that. Not all of us. But don't worry about what other people do. Try to help yourself. Try to become the more pure self of you, That's all we can do,
Sure. So you've mentioned, science on a few occasions. So let's talk about the link between Buddhism and modern science and psychology. You describe your approach as science-backed, so I'm just wondering what evidence or observations have strengthened your confidence in these practices.
Yeah. So I learned from the monk that Buddha teaching are science-backed. And even what they say, I don't know, true or not, Christ found Buddhism. That's how he got killed. So because there's an extreme that so science backed, right? So I had that. So I researched and I found that if you research ChatGPT or Google, there's a scientific fact that things are moving billions of times per second. Okay. Buddha said there's only mind and body. He said if you want to understand difficult subject, make things simple. Okay. So there's only mind and body. Your mind or other people's mind, other living mind, your body or other people's body, other living body or non-living body, just mind and body in the whole world. Okay. Because and as a human, we're not that crazy. Okay. Our feeling have to base on something. Okay. Because Buddha said mind and body, our feelings are based on mind and body. But because science says mind and bodies are moving billions of times per second, the mind and body our feeling based on no longer around when we feel it. So we basically having a feeling on the things that already passed. Example, when you eat something, when you feel good, the food already gone down the drain, right? So a lot of people see Buddhism as staying in present. What I understand now is even present is no longer around, right? When you feel the present. Okay. So basically what we need to understand is there's science and Buddha teaching and scientific evidence that things are moving millions of times per second. we pretty much having a feeling or pretty much nothing. Thing already passed. Having feeling on memory, imagination, reflection, it's not now. So even there's no now to stay with. That also relate to impermanent, like detachment. Because nothing there, what do you have to attach to, right? But it's hard for you maybe to realize it all the time. Maybe believe in this, practice it like I said before, a few minutes a day. You come to realize that that is true. But we still have to treat other people. We still have to live like a human, knowing that we having feeling or nothing. But it's okay. But you live like a human. But knowing this, whatever happened, whatever life thrown at you, you okay. So when you have a good feeling, we having feeling or nothing memory, right? So have bad feeling, it also memories. Not here. We can't show any evidence. Right? It's already gone. And there's a word saying that this too shall pass, and it's very true. It's already passed. We just can't see it. We human, we're not machine or whatever.
Why do you think so many people struggle to separate their thoughts from reality?
Because we're human.
That seems to be a common theme.
Yeah. It's the whole reason. So, religion and science teaching us to face the facts of life. So you're not too human, You got humanity is good, but learning the facts and stay like a human, living like a human, help you and help other people too.
Okay. A lot of people, well, some people are skeptical of mindfulness and self-healing practices. So how do you help those people that, are skeptical of anything that is associated with religion or spirituality?
Yeah, I haven't been lucky with people, so I don't know about religion. I'm used to skepticism, etc. That's how I become who I become. Life throw things at you a lot of the time or over my life. So I don't want to judge anyone, but uh, I think when your life become uncomfortable, try to remember what I say to you. Or if you have any question, I'll give you my Facebook page. Please put it on the note. I do this as part of the charity. It's free service. Come and talk to me, That's how you learn. That's how I learn, by asking questions, You don't have to be on the same page as me. Asking question, listening to answer, you come to realize maybe you probably become better than me, Just be open-minded. But, critic is good. That's how you learn. If you like, I agree with you everything. You just try to be nice, You don't really learn a strategy, so it doesn't stick with you, Process is nothing. After you finish, that's it. But if you learn a strategy and you really understand it and practice it stay with you, it all starts with the question. Skeptic questions are better,
Sure. So for someone who may feel overwhelmed right now with severe anxiety or depression, where would you suggest they begin?
Okay. This is like psychiatric teaching. They say, okay, they teach me, okay, become aware of yourself first, okay? And a lot of us, we try to hide it from our own feeling. Just be aware that, it's upsetting you, okay? first, and then speak to someone you're comfortable with. If you got no one, there's a lot of government services, and speak to them first, and then next step, get professional help. My help is free. There's psychiatric, because not that I don't want to help, but I know this doesn't suit everyone because people are different, right? This is only suited to people who are realistic, open-minded, but there's a variety of help. Different help suit different people. So, yeah, I would do that.
Okay. The Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, who I assume you're familiar with, wrote a book called No Mud, No Lotus. What does that mean? What is it about?
That's why I keep saying you like, like suffering. If my life too comfortable, if I not, it doesn't even have to be too comfortable. If my life has been comfortable, nobody treats you bad, I won't ever get here.
Suffering is part of the human experience.
Yeah, that's how you grow. It's like, example, a lot of rich people, they started poor. If they started rich, you become small and you never get anywhere, right? That's the reality. It's this, yeah.
What daily habits have had the greatest impact on your own mental well-being?
Like what I said before, for a few minutes of the day, I try to focus on myself. And I just see that things don't last and I keep moving on, when I feel like I usually notice when the feeling gets serious, if it's like just casual, but, at least a few minutes of the day, you have a serious feeling, like, very bad or very good, then I just try to notice that, this too shall pass and I take it easy,
Here's another quote from the early Buddhist teachings. All that we are is the result of what we have thought.
Yeah.
What does that mean? How does that resonate with you?
Yeah, it makes sense. You behave in a way that line with your belief. It's that environment affect you, but also your belief. I don't know. I'm not very scientist, but that's what I think.
Okay, so Saul, as we come to the end of our conversation together, I just have one more question for you, and it's the same question that I ask all of my guests, as the theme of this podcast is living our best lives. Right. I'd like to ask you, what does it mean to you to live your best life?
If I could live my life easy as possible, happily as possible. Yeah, I'm still human, I still suffer, but I take it easy. That will be my best life. I still want to travel. I haven't had a chance to travel the world. I still want to live with, in a big home with a lot of people. I like living with a lot of people. That's my dream. Maybe that's my retirement dream. I'm working hard so I get there soon. Yeah, so I can spend more time on charity as well. That's why, I'm working hard. Yeah.
Saw, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast today. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah. And thanks everybody.